And good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Pat Paris.
And I'm Heidi Alonga. Donald Trump's first campaign stop in Tucson since the 2020 election just wrapped up at the Linda Ronstadt Music Hall in downtown. Our Pat Paris is anchoring our coverage and kicking things off. Pat, how's it going out there?
Well, as you would expect, they're already starting to tear down some of the tents that were up to protect the folks from the heat and the sunshine earlier today. You know, this music hall, Heidi, only holds about just under 2,300. Well, this afternoon they turned away hundreds of Trump supporters because this place was packed. It was right at capacity, as you might imagine. It was a raucous crowd here inside the Ronstadt Music Hall, here to see the former president just 2 days after that debate he had with Kamala Harris, the vice president. Donald Trump telling the crowd he will not debate Harris again. That was one piece of news coming today from the former president. He also told supporters that he knows how much inflation has been impacting Arizonans.
I'm angry about rampant inflation destroying our middle class, and the American people are also very angry about that and every other thing that we've had to endure for 3.5 years. That's why 54 days from now, we are going to tell Harris that we've had enough.
And Donald Trump says his plan to reduce energy costs, which will lower overall costs and help with inflation. He also wants to reduce interest rates and eliminate costly government restrictions on building new homes. He drew the biggest cheers for his hard line on immigration and on the millions of migrants who've come to the country during this current administration. All right, let's bring in Ryan Fish now as we continue our team coverage here on KGUN 9. Ryan, I know you were covering those supporters, and as I mentioned, so many couldn't even get in. Somebody showed up.
It was impressive. It was an impressive turnout, and I met a lot of Trump supporters today. Many from right here in Arizona, making the drive either from the Phoenix area or Cochise County. But I would say most that I spoke with are from right here in the Tucson area. Many proud to be here and happy to see Donald Trump visit our city for the first time in 4 years. Including one voter who just moved here from Nebraska. And while she mentioned liking Trump's stance on immigration, on the border wall, she believes really one of the keys for her is the economy. She thinks he has the answers.
As a millennial, I graduated in 2008, which was not ideal. And then I got out of college and there still wasn't many jobs. And I was just like, something's got to change. And so he started running, and I was like, he seemed like he was legit. He's a businessman, so just like everything he did all around last time was great. And this time, like, I think he learned a lot from the last time he was in.
Another factor today was the heat. We saw multiple people receiving medical attention outside the event here. Yeah. TFD says that number 5 for heat-related calls that they responded to here. It was a factor because folks were lining up very early in the morning, all the way until about 11 is when they got let in, and that was a lot of time in the 80s and 90s as it kept heating up here. But that did not dampen the mood, Pat.
No, it didn't.
This really, the campaign called it remarks, but it really felt like a rally in there, a raucous crowd outside.
There's no question that when we saw the news release that it was going to be remarks, we thought, oh, this might be a little different. No, it was the traditional Donald Trump rally. And, you know, coming off of that debate where, you know, a lot of the national pundits said that Kamala Harris won that debate, he was he's still fired up. In fact, we saw some polling from his campaign that said he actually got a couple of point bump in the last 2 days from, so if you believe their polling, then he has reason to be happy.
Strategically, that may be part of the reason why they decided they don't want to go back and
do another debate. Exactly right. So, Heidi, that'll wrap up our coverage for right now. Of course, we'll be back tonight at 6 with much more. But it was, vintage Donald Trump as he campaigns with just 54 days to go to the election.
All righty. Thank you so much, Pat and Ryan. Well, a group of people supporting the Harrison Walz campaign were actually outside of the Tucson Convention Center showing their support for the campaign. We spoke with a few people who support the Democratic Party's nominees and tell us Trump does not fit their version of what they want for the future. They told us Harris has re-energized the race. They also said they're trying to get people from the Republican Party and independents to support their cause, and that's why they were out there today.
That's going to invigorate them. They're going to say, hey, that guy, he's like me, I think I understand and I feel what he feels.
We also spoke to someone from Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz's home state. That man tells KGUN 9 that he feels like Walz and Harris can represent the country better on international issues. Today's protests were overall peaceful outside of the Trump event. With former President Trump's visit to Tucson today, organizations across Tucson are weighing in on the former president's track record. One of those groups is the Pima Area Labor Federation, a group dedicated to the interests of working class people in Pima County and across southern Arizona. We spoke to the group's chair, Trish Muir, who touched on Trump's track record of catering to large corporations and developers and how it doesn't align with what's best for Arizona's working class.
We have a lot of issues with housing. We have out-of-state developers who come in, investment firms buy up a lot of our properties, apartment complexes, housing, and have really increased rates. And that's not unlike the former president's portfolio.
Muir also says that the group will be working to educate voters between now and Election Day on issues that affect them so that they can make the most informed decision come November. Well, the former president made his way to Tucson in a former airliner turned into a personal jet.
Yeah, we're back out here live, Heidi, actually, to talk about that. And, you know, when the former president, Donald Trump, comes to a city like Tucson today, he isn't flying Air Force One anymore, obviously, but he is flying a converted jetliner that certainly has his stamp on it, and it is very recognizable. Our Craig Smith is at the airport today to see the former president land, and he joins us now live with more on the former president's plane. That is very impressive, Craig.
Well, you know, Donald Trump certainly works hard to market himself, and that big plane with his name in big letters on the side is a powerful marketing tool. Now, we did not get quite as good a look at the landing as we expected. Strong winds and a change in the wind direction led to the pilot choosing a crosswind runway that made the plane much harder to see. The plane taxied to a location where he could board the motorcade for that trip downtown. Now, several airlines owned the plane before. Trump bought it in 2012 to replace an older Boeing 727 he was using. The purchase was seen as a sign he was planning to run for president back then, but he did not run until the election he won in 2016. Now, that plane is getting a workout right now in this campaign. He's due in Vegas tomorrow, Glendale on Saturday, Michigan on Tuesday, and New York on Wednesday. Reporting live at Tucson International, Craig Smith, KGUN 9.
All right, Craig, thank you. Well, KGUN 9 spoke with the National Press Secretary for former President Trump about his visit to Tucson, and she tells us this is not his last stop in Arizona before the election.
It's a big state. We know we have to win it. He loves the people of Arizona, and he's sorry for the way that you've been treated by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden with their allowance of this open border policy that has really impacted your state.
In response to Trump coming to Tucson, the DNC tells us they launched a mobile billboard that's going to be making its way around the Tucson Music Hall. They say it's going to combat some of Trump's recent speeches. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris is in North Carolina today for a rally, while second gentleman Doug Emhoff is actually here in Tucson today. Our Tina Giuliano joins us live from his event. When is that getting started, Tina?
Yeah, there are dozens of people, almost hundreds of people, I'm told, are coming into this campaign event, ready to hear the remarks from second gentleman Doug Emhoff. This is his first time coming to Tucson in this 2024 election season. And one of the topics that he's expected to talk about is reproductive freedom. And I got to speak with some of the supporters here today about how that's actually at the top of their minds going into getting ready to vote this November. And they're really concerned about what's going to be next in Harris's vision for the future and what they would like to see happen. And so this is actually a push from the Harris campaign to reach voters in battleground states like Arizona. And we'll hear more continuing throughout the night what the second gentleman has to say coming up later. For now, reporting from Stonebridge Event Center, Tina Giuliano, KGUN 9.
All right, we'll be checking back in with Tina once that event is underway. Well, the latest polls from 538 from Arizona shows Trump has a very minimal lead when it comes to the numbers, a lead that's been growing over the last week or so. Maybe events like today help capitalize on that momentum. You can see just a couple days ago, his lead was actually a little bit more than it is right now, just 0.6 of a vote here for the very latest numbers. Harris and Trump have been neck and neck in the polls, not just here in Arizona, but across across the country. Let's take a look at where the numbers stand on a national level. You can see Harris has a lead there by 2.8% of the vote there, but still very close numbers, making events like today for both Trump and Harris very, very important come Election Day. Well, after Tuesday's debate, the Harris campaign was already calling for another matchup, but Trump took to Truth Social today to announce that there would not be a third presidential debate, saying, quote, Kamala should focus on what she should have done during the last almost 4-year period. There will be no third debate. We've got much more coverage coming up a little bit later in the show, but for now, let's check in with Kyler.